Ladies and gentlemen, we enter a new era of Sixers basketball this season as for the first time in seemingly decades, Tobias Harris will not be on this roster. Well, after a little bit of time, we did get the Tobias Harris farewell post, which I thought there was an interesting twist that has been swirling around online about did Tobias Harris even write this or not. So I'm going to start off with the initial post right here from Sixers Nation that points out the Tobias post and points out there's a 99.19% connected AI generation to ChatGPT there. And to dive into exactly what he writes, and as again, it pops up 99.19%, the Tobias post says, as I prepare to embark on a new chapter in my career, my heart is heavy with a mix of emotions. Throughout my time here, I've given my heart and soul to this team, the city, and the game that I love. Through it all, there have been faithful and loyal fans, ones who have stood by through the highs and the lows, the triumphs and the disappointments. Your unwavering support, passionate cheers, and belief in me have been a constant source of strength and inspiration. Even when the negative voices threaten to drown you out, your love for the team and the city shone through. To the supporters who may not have been as loud, but whose love and dedication have been the foundation upon which this team stands, I want to thank you. Your loyalty, passion, and unwavering spirit have meant more to me than you'll ever know. As I move on to the next chapter of my career, a part of me will always remain in Philadelphia. The memories we've created, the lessons I've learned, the bonds that I've forged, and with the city and its people will stay with me forever. The city and its people have left a lasting mark on my heart and career. To the city, to the fans, and the team that will always hold a special place in my heart, thank you, and may the future bring everything you deserve and desire. So overall, honestly, a really nice post from Tobias there. And for what it's worth, I did want to kind of debunk this with the Harrison Grimm tweet right here that says, as someone who works with AI a decent amount, these, quote, detectors are wildly unreliable, and I wouldn't put any stock into this. And my honest take on it is that does sound like Tobias to me. That the way that he talks, the way that he wrote that, do sound pretty similar. I think that was probably Tobias himself. And honestly, he brings up some great points in there. I thought that hit from the heart. So I don't want to put too much smut on his name for that specifically, but I did want to have the Tobias Harris conversation overall. Tobias, it was an interesting ride. For what it's worth, my overall outlook is most of my criticism does not fall on Tobias Harris specifically. It falls on the front office as a whole. And to fully dive into that, I did want to rewind and when that first initial contract was handed to Tobias Harris. And let's not forget the context of leading up to this was in that 2018-19 season when the half a season that was spent with Jimmy Butler, and kind of how things played out is the Sixers were finally flipping the script into win-now mode. They were cashing their chips in, trading their young pieces, trading their picks for these win-now players, and went all in with Tobias Harris and Jimmy Butler, both on expiring contracts. We saw how the Jimmy Butler story went, that there was the underlying beef with Ben Simmons, with Brett Brown, and obviously he did not want to be back in Philadelphia. That resulted in a sign and trade down in Miami, and then the Sixers' hands were tied that they had to make sure they did not let both these guys walk, which ultimately resulted in Tobias receiving one of many unnecessary paydays in it. So I want to start off with this article when things were first announced, and it writes, forward Tobias Harris signed a 5-year, $180 million contract to remain with the Philadelphia 76ers on Sunday, according to his agent and father, Terrell Harris. Harris informed ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski of the agreement. The contract does not include a player option. Harris is coming off a career year split between the Los Angeles Clippers and Sixers. He appeared in all 82 games for the second time in his career and averaged 20 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 2.8 assists while shooting 48.7% from the field and 39.7% from beyond the arc. But it does get worse than that. And this paragraph is where my heart truly started ripped out. And it continues on to say, the 26-year-old veteran came into his own following the trade to Orlando, and he broke out as an all-star caliber player after joining the Clippers. While Harris has yet to make an all-star team, he is trending in that direction, and the 76ers are undoubtedly hopeful he will reach that level in 2019-20. For his career, Harris is averaging 15.4 points, 6.0 rebounds, and 1.9 assists per contest, but he has surpassed those levels over the past few seasons and become a versatile threat. The most notable area in which he has improved drastically is three-point shooting. Over the past 2 seasons, Harris has averaged more than 2 trifectas made per game, and he is shooting over 40% from long range, which forces the opposition to account for him at all times. Harris is also capable of getting to the basket or knocking down mid-range shots, which gives him the type of inside-outside game that few others in the NBA possess. Last season, Harris showed that he could be a first option offensively during his time in LA, but also proved that he could blend in seamlessly on a star-studded Sixers team alongside Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and Jimmy Butler. With his tenure in Philadelphia set to continue, the 76ers have a deep and talented core that may be capable of winning multiple championships in the coming years. Yeah, that one hurts to read back a couple years now that has kind of, the dust has settled there. Now, the Tobias Harris frustrations are very much led on by the Terrell Harris camp, that obviously being his dad. And first off, hat tip to you for doing your job at a high level and earning him the money, which is ultimately what this is about. But some of the fluff pieces, which continue to come out and were on full force this offseason, by the way, myself included, getting emails about writing articles about, how good it is and his stats per dollar amount, all these type of things. I know plenty of people who took the bait. Shout out to the Clutch Points article that did pop out there, which really talked about him as one of the pound for pound most productive players in the NBA, which is insanity there. But the bottom line being that this kind of unnecessary stuff, things like his brother getting an opportunity at the Sixers organization for a period of time, is why people will rub the wrong way. Now, for Tobias, I have no malice in my heart to Tobias Harris specifically. The bottom line is a check was cashed that his talent could not live up to, and that was a mistake by the Sixers front office. Now, the Tobias Harris experience overall, why it's so frustrating, is he's never been an all-star caliber talent, and even dating back to this year, what he produced, 17.2 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, 3.1 assists, 1.0 steal, shot 48.7% from the field and 35.3% from three, 95.6% of his threes being assisted there, shooting 40.3% from the corner. It's never been, like, those raw numbers look good. But the frustrating part with Tobias Harris is he can either scale up or scale down to be a productive NBA player. What I mean by that is he's not talented enough or productive enough to be a number one option on the team, as was indicated in this article here. He's not good enough to be that caliber of player, but he's also not good enough at the complementary skill sets that are necessary on teams. He's not a glue guy. He's never going to be a dude that is the first one to get to a loose ball, the first guy to compete, to get that tough rebound, and he's really not that good as a defender. I hear that get thrown at him all the time, as him as this, capable of matching up with all these positions. He's just straight up not. Like, his hips on the perimeter just can't switch. He gets blown by all the time. It's just really unfortunate that these skill sets that are so necessary to making yourself a plus player just aren't there. And as far as the shooting, he's absolutely a good shooter. That's never been the frustration. The frustration has been he's an unwilling shooter, that he would much rather pump fake out of a wide open three to dribble himself into a contested tough two-pointer. And that just makes zero sense in the context of basketball, and even less sense when you're paired playing next to a guy like Joel Embiid, who loves to operate in the mid-range. But again, for Tobias, it was never a fit. It isn't not his fault, but it's not fully his fault either. And my kind of tone on Tobias overall, that's been my outlook for most of this time, that this was a Sixers issue that they created by handing him that deal. Now, I will say that this season specifically, my mindset kind of shifted beyond that this was not a dollar amount thing. This was not about him not being able to live up to what he's being paid to do. It was about him being straight up bad. That there were stretches of the season that I truly feel were the worst basketball that we've seen from Tobias Harris in a Sixers uniform, and that's very frustrating when considering the context of everything going on. That obviously the Sixers team needed him, and obviously he had a lot at stake, that he had a payday on the line as well. Now, the devil works hard, but Tobias Harris's camp works harder. I truly feel his PR team are like the Kardashians of the NBA in the way that they're constantly working everything. He found a way to get paid, and shout out to him for getting his money, $26 million a year, to go play with the Detroit Pistons and be a leader there. And for what it was asked, Tobias also was popping out to Summer League and had the quote, when asked for his personal goals for the upcoming NBA season, quote, "to be the best leader that I can be for this group." And to Tobias, I applaud that he has found a way to achieve his basketball destiny. And what that destiny, unfortunately, is to score empty calorie statistics at a high level on a team that goes below 500. That Tobias Harris was born to take a 28-win team to a 32-win team. That is the level of impact that he can make. There is not much more that he can do than that. But from a personal standpoint, he is going to be a good tone setter for that locker room. He is a guy that can be that veteran presence that they are clearly trying to bring in, help guys like Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, all the other guys that are growing in that opportunity there. And thankfully, he is out of Philadelphia. So for the Sixers, they've found a way to do better. That they've brought in names like Andre Drummond, like Paul George, who is just better than Tobias Harris at every single aspect of basketball. Brought in guys like Caleb Martin here, who also, while the stats don't stand out, has the guy that has these defining traits that make him impactful to winning in a way that teams need. So shout out to Caleb Barton, shout out to Paul George for joining and being ready to battle. Tobias Harris, I wish you the best. I do not have this ill will in my heart, but boy, am I glad that the experience is over. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Did Tobias write that apology? Did he write that thank you or not? I personally lean towards I think he did. I think this is a mistake on the analytics or analyzing or whatever, and I won't have any ill will towards Tobias when he returns to Philadelphia. This is not a Ben Simmons situation where I'm buying shirts outside the stadium with his face on it or ready to boo my brains out when he gets announced. I will wish Tobias the best when we cross that bridge, but definitely glad that the experience has finally ended in Philadelphia. Appreciate each of you guys for tuning in this video here. Make sure you're smashing that subscribe button if you haven't already. Dropping a like on this video and any of your thoughts below. And I'll be talking with you next time right here on Sixers Digest. Peace.